Phoenix Raceway just handed NASCAR one of its messiest Sundays of the 2026 season. And when you look at everything that unfolded over 312 laps on that 1-mile oval in Avondale, Arizona, you start to understand why drivers are still talking about it. Multiple cars destroyed, tire failures cascading through the field at the worst possible times, drivers pointing fingers, Goodyear going on social media with a message that felt more like a warning shot than a press release. And through all of it, one man somehow came out the other side standing, Ryan Blaney, the 12-team Penske Ford, taking the win at Phoenix Raceway and doing it in a way that reshuffles the entire playoff picture. But the story of this race is not just the trophy, not by a long shot. Let's start with what this race actually looked like from the inside, because the box score does not come close to capturing it. Ryan Blaney wins by 0.399 seconds over Christopher Bell in the 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. That margin sounds comfortable. It was anything but, because what was happening to the rest of the field behind him, and at several points around him, was borderline chaos. The kind of chaos that builds slowly, lap by lap, until it detonates all at once in a way that leaves teams scrambling and fans holding their breath. Joey Logano in the 22-team Penske Ford had earned the pole with a qualifying run of 135.537 miles per hour. Fast, sharp. Looked like Phoenix might belong to Penske across the board. Then the race started, and over the course of 3 stages, the tire situation started revealing itself like a slow leak you can feel, but can't yet see. Chase Briscoe suffered a right front tire failure. Noah Gragson blew a tire. William Byron, the kind of driver you expect to manage a race smartly, lost a tire. Connor Zeilish, Kyle Busch, Shane Van Gisbergen, Kyle Larson himself, flat right front tire late in the race. The failures were not random. They were concentrated. And they were almost entirely a post-stage 1 problem, which is exactly what makes this story more complicated than a simple mechanical issue. Stage 1? Clean. No tire drama whatsoever. Blaney wins the stage. The field looks fine. And then teams go to work in the pit boxes. And that's when the trouble begins. But that's only half the story. Here's the context that makes those tire failures land differently. Goodyear Racing did not stay quiet. They did not issue a polite statement. They went on social media, on X, and posted something that in the world of NASCAR communication functions as a very public call-out. The message, recommended tire pressures, weren't guesses. That's not a response to a mechanical failure. That's Goodyear telling the entire garage that what happened on Sunday was not their problem. It was a crew chief problem. It was a setup problem. It was an aggression problem. And the analysis backs that up. Jeff Gluck at The Athletic was reporting that crew chiefs had aggressively adjusted tire pressures after stage 1. Motorsport.com expert analysis pointed to a combination of factors: aggressive camber settings, high load setups, driver aggression specifically cutting the dogleg transition into Turn 1 on cold tires. Phoenix Raceway's Turn 1 is not forgiving. This is a low-banked oval, and that transition zone punishes cars that are set up on the edge. When teams pushed those pressures lower than Goodyear recommended, they were chasing lap time. What they found instead was degradation, failure, and in several cases, walls. Now layer on top of that the late race incident. Joey Logano in the 22 Ford moves up track in Turn 1, makes contact with A.J. Allmendinger in the 16. That contact cascades. Chase Elliott gets collected. Josh Berry gets caught. And then a related restart sequence pulls in Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, and Anthony Alfredo. Multiple cars, with significant damage. Logano himself puts it plainly: "I just ran out of space going into Turn 1. Josh Berry's take is equally blunt. Wrong place, wrong time. That phrasing, wrong place, wrong time, is doing a lot of work. Because on a 1-mile oval with tire pressures already pushed to the limit, running out of space late in the race is not just bad luck. It's the product of a race that had been grinding on tires and nerves for nearly 3 hours. And then came the part nobody saw coming. Blaney comes through. Christopher Bell led the most laps in the race, 176 of 312, and looked like the strongest car for long stretches. But when the final lap runs clean, it is Blaney crossing under the checkered flag, 0.399 seconds clear of Bell, with Kyle Larson in the 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet completing the top 3. Look at that finishing order more carefully. First and second place, Blaney's Penske Ford and Bell's JGR Toyota. Third through fifth, Larson, Hamlin, and Ty Gibbs, all from major manufacturer programs. This is not a fluky result. This is a race where experience, pit strategy, and tire management separated the front runners from the rest of the field. Stage 2 went to Christopher Bell, who was applying consistent pressure through the middle portion of the race. On a 1-mile track where track position is everything and clean air defines your tire wear, stage wins and pit strategy matter. Blaney did not win this race only by driving. He won it because his entire operation executed while other teams were discovering what aggressive pressure settings look like deep in the run. The lap 112 incident added another layer earlier in the race. Denny Hamlin, in the 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, over-rotates in Turn 1 entry on fresh tires during a green flag pit cycle. Tyler Reddick in the 45, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47, and Cody Ware in the 51 all get pulled into it. 4-car incident, 5 laps of yellow, and to the credit of the next-gen chassis, all 4 drivers walk away. All 4 released post-race without serious injury. Hamlin called it part of short track style here. Racing luck on Sirius X. NASCAR radio. And that framing is honest. Fresh tires on a low-banked oval will bite you if you come in too hot, and Hamlin knows that better than almost anyone. Hamlin ultimately recovered to finish 4th, which says something about the 11 JGR team's depth and tire management in the back half of the race. But the incident still cost Reddick and Stenhouse significant track position early. But the real fallout didn't happen on the track. It happened in the garage and press conferences and on social media. And the loudest voice in all of it was the one that wasn't even attached to a race team. Goodyear Racing's public comment about recommended tire pressures is not a throwaway post. In the motorsport world, that is, Goodyear putting every crew chief in the Cup Series on notice that they will not absorb the blame for what happened at Phoenix on Sunday. When you have multiple tire failures, Briscoe, Gregson, Byron, Zilisch, Busch, Van Gisbergen, Larson, that's not a sample size you can wave off as coincidence. That's a pattern, and Goodyear is naming the pattern. The driver responses have been measured. Nobody is standing in front of a microphone calling for Goodyear's removal or demanding a tire specification change. Blaney is focused on the win. Bell is talking about his championship run. Hamlin is brushing off the lap 112 incident as part of Phoenix racing. But underneath those professional responses, there is a real question being asked in the garage right now. Who is responsible for the carnage that defined the middle and late stages of this race? Teams chased the setup. Goodyear drew the line publicly. And NASCAR has not issued penalties, has not opened a formal investigation, and has confirmed that the top 5 finishers passed Level 2 inspection clean. That last part matters. No post-race controversies, no lug nut violations, no protests filed. What happened at Phoenix was not a rules enforcement issue. It was a performance philosophy issue. And those are actually harder to solve because you cannot penalize a crew chief for being aggressive with a setup. You can only watch the consequences play out at race speed. And when you look at the standings now, you'll see why this changes everything. Ryan Blaney banks the maximum points from Phoenix. The win, stage points, and playoff bonus points. Christopher Bell's runner-up result and Stage 2 win adds significantly to his championship haul as well. Kyle Larson's 3rd place is a strong recovery considering the flat tire that struck his car late in the race. Bubba Wallace in the 23-23XI Racing Toyota finishes 6th after starting 28th. A strong recovery drive that keeps him relevant in the playoff picture. Tyler Reddick in the 45 finishes 8th after entering Phoenix with strong momentum. Chris Buescher in the 17 RFK Racing Ford is among the teams monitoring the bubble carefully as the season develops. Daniel Suarez in the 7 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet is another name to watch as the playoff picture takes shape over the coming weeks. For Hamlin, the lap 112 incident ends with a 4th-place finish after recovering through the field, and that recovery says something about the 11 JGR team's depth and tire management in the back half of the race. 3 top 5 finishes in his last 5 races. No wins yet in 2026. Phoenix was a moment that could have turned very ugly, and instead becomes a strong points day. Sometimes that's how championships are built, and that sets up what could be the most important race of the season, because where this field goes next puts everything we just watched at Phoenix into a completely different context. Bristol Motor Speedway, the Food City 500, April 12th, 2026, 3 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Back on the concrete oval where Bristol has run since 2024. If Phoenix was about tire management on a low-banked oval, Bristol is something else entirely. A high-banked half-mile concrete track with intense side-by-side racing, lateral forces that punish aggressive setups in entirely different ways, and a short-track mentality where traffic becomes a weapon and restarts can decide everything. The lap 112 incident at Phoenix, Hamlin spinning on fresh tires, is a reminder of what happens when grip disappears suddenly. At Bristol, grip is always a negotiation, not a guarantee. The drivers to watch? Hamlin and Kyle Larson are historically strong at Bristol. Hamlin's short-track experience and restart skills give him an edge that Phoenix's long runs didn't fully showcase. Larson's flat tire late at Phoenix was a frustration, but his car speed through most of that race was evident. If there is a bounce-back story next time out, Larson is the name at the top of that list. For the bubble teams, Bristol is a wild card that can cut either way. Chaos at Bristol can elevate a midfield car to a top 10. It can also end a night early with a wall banger that cost you 50 laps and all the points you needed. No penalties carry over from Phoenix. No appeals are pending. The slate is clean, but the pressure is not. The tire conversation is not going away, and Goodyear's public comment means teams heading into Bristol will be having very direct conversations with their engineers about what happened in stages 2 and 3 at Phoenix and what they are going to do differently. The concrete doesn't lie, and after what happened in the Arizona desert on Sunday, every team in this garage knows exactly where they stand and where they can't afford to end up. Green flag drops April 12th at Bristol. After what just unfolded at Phoenix, you won't want to look away.